Hello, this is Brian Whitten and ET Art. I did want to make a short video today. Let's hope I can achieve that. You have an image on the screen at the moment that shows a 4 right here written in Roman numerals. It is pretty safe to say I will do an inserted picture now of the rock. I will circle the part of the rock where this imagery is coming from, right here. And it's pretty safe to say that the person that did that and left this mark here, 4 written in Roman numerals near the shape of South America, you can dispute that that's what it is, but I will show you why I believe that's the case. And this white thing here, with the bigger circle there and the smaller circle there, being representative of the 2 comets that tilted our axis 6,000 years ago. Put that aside, the placement of this here cannot be any other way and done any other way than a situation of matter transferred via laser. It is impossible to do it any other way. Before I go on, if you are a young child of 12 or younger, could you please go and get your parents to watch the video first before coming back. I wanted to start there. I will show you the next image. This is the next image I wanted to show you. It is a face. Chin, lips, eyes, nose. There is actually a hat here. It goes like that, and there is a big hat that goes up here, so it can be an Egyptian headdress, or it's one that's a lot shorter and it goes down here like this. And a slight change in angle changes the appearance from a young woman to an older woman. And this breast turns into a coat with a brooch on, with a very short hat, one like that. You can almost see, well, you can't see it here, but you can actually see it running off here. That is the Queen present when these 2 things are required to tilt the axis of the globe. We won't go into that just yet. I just wanted to say to you, we have not got a man here chipping away with a copper chisel making this on this rock. This is very, very, very high tech. It makes the pyramids and the Saxahuman walls look like a pile of rocks, quite frankly. The technology required to do that, and the technology required to do this, albeit this is why I opened up that other one. It's a little bit patchy on that one. The technology used to do this is extremely high tech. Okay, it is not something, like I said, somebody chipping away at the rock with a cold chisel or a copper chisel and a rock. This is extremely high tech, multifaceted laser cutting that can do that. It's the only thing that can do it. This is matter transfer via laser. It too is the only way that matter can be put there. It's the only way. Now I've just brought up a still image of the globe from off Google, and this is South America. So this is the bottom comet, or the first one that I've just shown you on that bottom of South America image. This is the one above South America, which is the smaller. This is the one that starts the tilt of the globe. This is the one that stops the tilt of the globe and pushes it from 12 degrees back to 10 degrees. I wanted to show you that, and we'll have a look at the next image. This is more of a close-up now of the South American bottom image, so at the bottom of South America. This is exactly the line of longitude that tilted. It's right bang in the middle. You can even see where the diversion here has taken place. So it's coming that way. Because of the movement of the Earth, it's moved off in this direction. This one went off to go and separate the Australian landmass. One comet from there was also used and added to the one that bounced off the top of South America and used to create the Mediterranean 6,000 years ago. You may doubt the 6,000 years, we will discuss this. I've just brought up the cross-section of the pyramid yet again to understand that what we've actually been taught. We've been taught lessons in planetary motion of what happened to the Earth in the event when these comets hit it. This is the South American impact that tilted the globe. It then breaks off into 5 comets. One is which used to, with the one that creates the Mediterranean. This is a Central American impact. It bounces forward to hit with this one in conjunction with both to drive the planet down away from the plane of the sun. This motion here, or what I call T1, is the one that's used to tilt the axis. It is the only way the axis can be tilted. It has to be in line with the plane of the sun to grab the core of the planet so it actually can be tilted. The other movement here is used to push the whole mass of the planet down. That's what this one is here. It's giving us these lessons in the motion of the planet because it's going to teach us what happens when we come back in plane with the sun. That's exactly where we are. I've shown you the gyroscope here because if we are travelling around the sun in this direction, which is what we were 6,000 years ago, we were going clockwise around the sun. This impact and the movement away from the plane has made the planet's plane move. So in other words, if you can imagine this being Earth's plane, it's gone from this point around to there. It can only do 180 degrees. It takes 6,000 years. You divide them, it becomes 33.3. What I'm telling you is a known thing within secret societies of our world. It is hidden from us. I don't want to go into that too much either, but what I wanted to let you know is when that happens, it only does 180 degrees. When it comes back up here, and I've had people say, Brian, the planet crosses the plane of the sun every year twice. That side, that side. Quite correct, it does. The problem is it crosses it. When you're coming back round this side here, where the Earth, like I said, if it's going this way, and then when you move the plane, and you're still on this plane, you end up going the other way. So that you end up, when you come back up here, you're going the direction we are going, anti-clockwise around the sun, this way. That's what it does. The cycle is used to move the planet so that it either rotates clockwise or anti-clockwise. That is what that process does. It does it for a very good reason. The reason is that when we hit the plane of the sun here, the very narrow horizontal band of magnetism of the sun is going in a direction where it makes our planet rotate very quickly or more slowly. That is the process. And of the 24-hour day that we have now, when it goes faster and rotates quicker, we end up with a 16-hour day. The other option is that it takes 8 hours longer and it's a 32-hour day. We've gone into that in the other videos and I do not want to rehash that just at this point. I just wanted to let you know that that is what happens, and I will show you one other megalith which will give you an indication, because this, during the whole process here, when the plane of the Earth is spinning like this, the north-south aspect is retained. And you'll say, Brian, that's actually going to put the South Pole in full sunlight. That's exactly what it does. And the North Pole in full sunlight while it's full dark in the South Pole. I've got a megalith that I will explain to you is exactly that. It tells us that that's the purpose. That is this. This megalith here is in Saudi Arabia. It's telling us exactly as I've just stated to you. When you look at the top of this step line here, you're now looking south. What you're doing here is seeing how many hours a day of sunlight I'm going to get in the middle of winter. So in other words, the sun doesn't rise and go back over the top of you like this. The situation is that you get 2 hours of sunlight here, and it's see you later. 2 hours of sunlight. You cannot exist as a civilization in this area here. That's why I'm saying to you, what happens here is it extends what our poles now have, with constant sun in summer and complete darkness in winter, but it does it to a far, far greater area of the globe, almost to the tropics. And what you're seeing here is an extension of the daylight hours till you get to 10 hours a day, and then it just doesn't go away. That's why you end up with the situation down here where you only end up with dusk. So you have either full sun and then dusk in the summer periods with the sun not gone. You don't get any dark hours here at all. And quite the opposite in the other extreme. When it's winter, you're getting only 2 hours of sun, and that's about it. That is the megalith that shows you exactly what we are looking at. That's the situation. I just wanted to show you that to say that there are many things. That is just one I just wanted to show you that is exactly there for that purpose. Now, I brought up the impact at the bottom of South America again because I wanted to discuss with you this line here, that where it actually does tilt. And you could say, yes, Brian, you've just said people know. If I follow that around the globe, I can get to Uluru here, as rock, as some of you may know it. That's not the only thing we get to. We get to the British nuclear test at Maralinga on the very same line of longitude. We have the Darwin bombing. I'll do an insert here for you. That is also on the very same line of longitude, as is this, which is Hiroshima and the Nagasaki bombing at the end of the Second World War. You can go to either the start or end of here and pick up the carpet bombing Vietnam War and the carpet bombing of Laos. You can go at a diagonal from this line and you will get to the Blitzkrieg in London, and you can go over to Dresden and you'll be in the very start of the two comets that created the Mediterranean. One is directly below Murcia in Spain. It is directly underneath that was the first impact. The other one went diagonally back. It's south of Dresden in Germany. That's why they blanket bombed. They actually bombed, I believe, more bombs dropped on Dresden at the end of the war by the Allies than the entire European campaign. That's the numbers I've heard of. There was no tactical value whatsoever in the bombing of Dresden. There were no war crimes carried against the people that carried it out either. But I wanted you to know that you are picking that up on the diagonal from this line here, across the globe like this. I don't want to go into that too far, but I did want to mention it because when we go up from this line, which is the very impact, we go through the next point, and I'll show you what that is. When we follow that red line up from the very start of the impact or the tilt of the axis, we go through here. This is the Saxahuman walls in Peru. You normally see them looked at from the front. I'll insert an image here and show you what it looks like, and they are very, very, very finely done. You don't get to look at them from the aerial view. I only want to look at the end of the wall. This is only the end of the sequence here. And I wanted to show you, I want you to look at the black numbers, because we've gone through dates and times in my videos before, and I've been, well, for starters, I took the 13th month of December next year as being November, and it isn't. The 13th month of December next year is actually December this year. There's 12 months next year, and the 13th month is next month. And as silly as you may think, what I've said is I want you to look at the black numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, 11. It's on the very same line. If I keep following that up, I get to New York after having drawn directly through that with that red line. What I'm saying to you is a known fact. They've been trying to tilt the axis. They know of a rotational speed issue, and without the help of people above that put the little 4 on my little rock here, and the ones that built this wall and the ones that built the pyramid and all such things, they are why they are here. They are teaching us the planetary motion and what happens to our planet when we come back in plane with the sun. And I will show you one other thing now. The reason I've come back to the cross section of the pyramid now is to talk about this motion here. This one here is the one, I'll discuss it in a minute, because it in actual fact is the mass of the planet moving like this, and this one here is the mass of the planet twisting like that quickly at 1,000 kilometers an hour. Whether you're on the Earth's surface and you are, to all intensive purpose, it feels like we're standing still, but we know the Earth is rotating, and it's rotating. If it rotates 1,000 kilometers an hour faster instantly, it doesn't matter whether it's left, right, north, south, east, west, it's 1,000 kilometers an hour faster. So in essence, what we're getting taught here is a quick snap of speed of rotation of 1,000 kilometers an hour is exactly the same as if it went click like that. It's the same thing. The oceans move in the same way, the Earth moves in the same way, and we are propelled. If it's going that way at 1,000 kilometers an hour, we're propelled that way at 1,000 kilometers an hour. You do not see a tidal wave hit you here. You're long and truly dead. That is not what I want to discuss today, because what I want to discuss today is the messages that are left on the planet that tells us they know how to manage the damage. And that is what I wanted to discuss, along with a few other bits and pieces in respect to date. I'll get to the date later. One thing I wanted to discuss with you is this motion here, where we're getting propelled, down as the whole mass of the planet is getting pushed away from at this point, this is the Mediterranean impact here that gets us pushed down. This is the Australian impact here that stops the thing happening. So in other words, that one there is the Australian comets landing above and separating the Australian landmass. We've gone through this before, and it stops the movement down and then sends it on its way at a speed and with a rotation, giving us 24-hour days. I want to talk to you about the 3 rings of rotation. I just did say 3 rings of rotation. There are, technically, from Earth's perspective, there are 2 rings of rotation, an inner ring here, and the outer ring, or here, the inner ring and outer ring. The inner ring is what we're used to, 93 to 94 million miles. So it was 93 million miles when I was at school. For some reason or other they've tried to make it 94 now. What I want you to do is notice these swirls. You've got in one that way and one this way, so they're going clockwise and anti-clockwise. These were telling me that the flip of the Earth, in other words, we're spinning anti-clockwise now. The motion that I've just shown you in the cycle that moves the plane, it does not change the rotation of the Earth, it changes the rotation of the Earth around the Sun. Okay? And it is when we come back from the outer ring here where we get stood up halfway through the cycle. I've got something else I'll show you that I'm absolutely certain is an indication of the very same thing, and we'll have a look at that shortly. But I just wanted you to be aware of that being the case. There was an issue not knowing how far or how fast we travelled when we got to the plane, because I couldn't work it out. There was no way of working it out. And in another video we discussed these symbols were drawn in the sky on the other side of the Earth when I could not work it out. I put the video up, said we have 2 rings of rotation around the Sun. Then this was written in the sky the next day. You'll note the swirls. They're the same way. Some go this way, some go that way. The numbers we were worried about or concerned with that I noticed immediately were these. 34,435, which is the speed and real time of our years on the inner ring. And this is 53,443 was the amount of real years spent on the outside. But we'll then discuss the following. This next image that I've got up here is the top of an Egyptian parchment. We've gone through this in rather great detail. The only thing I wanted to discuss at this point was the fact that we were seeing 24,000 years represented here, 12,000 represented there, with 6,000 being our cycle. That is the cycle that I've shown you, that we go back around and we end up rotating around the sun in a different direction. What I wanted to tell you here was that we worked this out as being the crossing of the plane of the sun. It's going to be on the 24th of the 12th. There is a line right there saying that it's going to be 3:30 AM Central Australian time, which is the end of next year. Okay, that is when we cross the plane. We've calculated here that this is in actual fact 3 days to cross. We've also worked out that it's 100 kilometres. I will show you where on the Serapeum. When the first impact here drives the planet up, we know that the axis was tilted 10 and 12 degrees, or knocked out to 12 and knocked back to 10. This is why we need to know this, and I'll show you why very shortly. This movement up, we know that this is 1,063 kilometres, because that's what 10 degrees is on the Earth's surface when you go to the equator. It's not here. This is saying, well, it's actually how far it moved. The line of longitude was 1,063 this way, depending on, if you're on the line of longitude, it doesn't matter, like I said, whether you twist it that way or you rotate it quicker. It's effectively the same thing. You're going 1,000 kilometres quicker in the direction that the Earth is spinning in. And the speed is like 4,000 kilometres an hour here. That's what this equates to. It's very, very quick. The upward movement here can only be 100 kilometres because of the narrow horizontal band of the magnetism of the sun. It's very narrow. It is only 200 kilometres wide, and this is where we work it out, because it knocks it straight up, but it can't go any further, and then it starts to twist Earth over that way. That's what this is showing us here. I wanted to show you that, but the other reason why I wanted to come back through the Serapeum, and I've looked at this 1,000 times, and I've got videos up showing you that we didn't need to worry about this. It was not going to be a thing that was quick or slow or whatever. I've messed this up, I don't know, a dozen times. I believe we're seeing options here. This can be 12 minutes. In other words, if nothing's done, and they're not the lies that we're getting told, that we keep getting lied to, and they don't come out and say the truth. I can see an instance where we're not going to get the help that we probably need. So in instance where our planet gets let go, we hit the plane of the sun, and they let that happen, which is why we got the lesson in the first instance, leaving the plane. That is in actual fact only took about 15 minutes for that movement to occur. That is 12 minutes. In the instance we do not, and that our mouths of our leaders still persist, even now, knowing that they've only got 12 to 13 months left, that they still want to hide it. I can see that being 12 minutes, in which case we go from there to there in 12 minutes with the rotation of the globe just going bang, and we're talking tidal waves that go right across the land masses on every continent on the planet. We've gone through that in the power of the force. I do not want to repeat myself there, but what I'm also seeing here is the possibility of it being 12 months, and that I've already spoken to you in my last video about there being possibly 3 other events. I want to show you another thing. The image I've got on the screen now is a Tirumala complex in India. We have also discussed this in my other videos. I'll do an inserted image now to show you the complete wall. It in actual fact looks like a UFO stuck inside a temple. It's on a wall and it looks up against the wall flat like so. I wanted to come back here because this is where we worked out where our speeds for going clockwise or anti-clockwise were in actual fact very close to the same. That the 24,000 year one is just a little over 16,000 years and this one is just a little bit under 16,000 years in real time, but the time between here and here and here is not that different. What I wanted you to have a look at, and this is the inner ring of rotation of Earth, that's the outer ring. Why is there no blue here? The blue is not there, is it? The blue is on the inner ring, or the middle ring, which is in actual fact the ring of rotation of Mars. What they're saying here is the Earth cannot retain water in the outer ring of rotation. We will explain why. If I then open up the following, I will explain why that is the case. I know that's a little bit of banding there, but I want to do some calculations for you. On the inner ring, we are 93 million miles from the Sun. 93 million miles multiplied by 3.14 equals divided by 365 equals divided by amount of hours in a day. And on the inner ring of rotation, the Earth is moving through space at 33.335. Surprising. Nothing surprises me. Like I said, it's not a secret. It's only a secret to the people that teach us history. 33,000 miles an hour. Now what we're going to do is compare that with the outer ring of rotation. The outer ring of rotation is 186 million miles from the Sun. We multiply it by 3.14. We divide it by 365. We divide that by 24 hours in a day. And we're now doing 66,000 miles an hour through space. And when we come up to ring the outer ring of rotation, that's how fast it's going to go. So when I bring us back now to the Tirumali-Jaan complex and say to you, we're not seeing a blue line in the outer ring where Earth is here because the oceans are not on the planet. They can't be, because if our rotation is, or our mass of movement of the planet is increased by 33,000 miles an hour, it's going to leave the water in space. That's what's going to happen here. And that's why that lesson is there. And if we look now at the cross-section of the pyramid again, so when we look at the cross-section of the pyramid again, that is exactly why we're getting that lesson. That is the movement of the mass of the planet, and it's 9,000 kilometers an hour in that instance, but out in the outer ring it's 33,000 kilometers an hour quicker, and it's saying it is a very, very quick thing. That is what I want to discuss with you about the planetary motion of the megaliths that I see, what the representation there is. We've got major problems, and I wanted to go back to the Tirumali-Jaan complex again and see that we have got the blue ring here. But the blue ring here, this is Mars' ring of rotation. The middle. That's exactly what they're saying, which is why we see the remnants of a civilization on Mars, because it was us 6,000 years ago. We were there. That's exactly what was going down. I wanted to show you one other thing. This was where we were being pushed back in from Mars. And I said to you, the outer ring, we were taking 1,000 years. The end of the cycle was here where the E was. That the D10 showed we had a 10-hour day. You cannot live beyond out there on a 10-hour day. Nothing could grow, nothing we've got could grow. And I said to you that we are getting stood up here, that this is a representation, the globe, yet again, is being stood up halfway through the cycle, and it is having people put back on it here. that the Asian people, this is a little cart here, it looks like the Asian people, the Egyptians are being put on here 1,000 years later. A llama here, that would mean to me that the South Americans are being put on here. And that we're managing, or they're managing, the movement of pushing the planet in whilst there are people on it. Once again, they are telling us they know how to deliver comets and move the planet whilst there's people on the planet. And they don't do this and put them back on here from Mars to kill them. They know how to do it. They can manage the damage. I know that image there is a little bit hard to see, but I stopped this. It's from UFO World, which is a Facebook page I am a member of, and I do get things that I see, and in my opinion this is telling us, I'm going to zoom into this device here, what we see here, because I believe this is exactly what we're seeing here, movement back in, albeit you might think this is characters. I do not believe that's the case. I believe that what we're actually getting told here is that we're getting in where we flip the globe is here, where it stood up. And see how this is like this? And that this is impacts that have used to drive the globe, stand it up here, and that from that point it's the impacts that drive it back into the inner ring, so on. There are multiple strikes required to move the planet from the outer ring back into the inner ring, but from the inner ring to the outer ring there is only the one required. That when it has a flat axis and Earth lays like this during these cycles of transition between the inner ring to the outer ring, it sits there with a flat axis where the precession of the planet also expands, as does the plane of travel that it goes on whilst it's spinning around the sun. I'm still under the belief it spins around the sun the whole time, but it just moves further out because sitting with a flat axis, the rotating vertical planes of magnetism of the sun are unable to retain the planet Earth in a steady location, whereas with an upright axis of 24 degrees, as we have, the rotating vertical planes of the sun are retaining the Earth's location in respect to the sun. I've showed you both these images before as well and discussed them. This is a megalith that I believe shows us the cycles. We are looking at brake pads here. How big the brake pad needs depending and relative to the speed. So we're going to say here is us. This is the outer ring, but on the slow cycle. Here is the fast cycle in the outer ring, and it bored out the North Pole because it had ice on it, which is why there is no landmass below the North Pole. You could say, but Brian, there's a South Pole landmass. That's exactly right. And we've also discussed their ability to bore through continental mass entirely. So the entire continent itself, because Earth crust displacement is impossible with movement of the Earth as it was in the first instance. I believe what we're being told here, knowing now that we've just seen there is no way that the planet can retain water in the outer ring and hit and accelerate at the speed it does. To be able to get from 33,000 miles an hour to 66,000 miles an hour, it is impossible for the Earth to retain the water whilst it's in the outer ring, which is why there's no blue line on the outer ring in the Tirumali-Jan complex. Which brings me to this. Why are we getting these lessons with water? They are skillful beyond everything we can imagine. We are looking at microscopic version here of rotating digging machines like we see with this inserted image of a mining industry machine. It's exactly the same thing. This one just happens to be attached to a UFO. These are all over the place on the rocks at microscopic level. And it is the video that I actually take that off, the still image, it comes out really clear that that is obvious, a rotating machine stuck on a UFO. It's actually very easy to see. But what I believe we're seeing when we look at this inserted image now, which is 260 kilometres to the right of the line of longitude that Ayers Rock on. That's the one that I've just told you that all the bombs have dropped on. Putting that aside, this is 260 kilometres to the east of that line. It is in Japan. It is the Yonaguni Monument. I believe that that is also telling us one other thing. And as big as our oceans are, the earth that lies beneath it is far, far bigger. And I believe they're telling us in this that they don't just have the ability to be able to make a landmass slip across the top of the mass of the earth, but they can actually put enough water within the contents of earth underneath the landmass to allow our oceans. So that in other words, the only real problem, I'm not saying they're not going, how they stop and slow a planet, I do not know. There are things I don't know and cannot understand and cannot work out how they do that. But they are indicating that they know how to do it with people on the planet and have us not all killed. The tidal waves that I perceive coming in over the land masses are only there and can only be there if the land mass or the water level and the land mass are as they are now. But if they're capable of dropping the ocean, as indicated with the Yonaguni Monument, so the ocean levels are in actual fact that big, it may be that they are saying to us, we can do this so that the tidal waves do not ruin the coast and wipe out what we have here. It may be based, like I said, whether or not the truth of those that have told us all these lies till this point start coming out with it, because I cannot see a situation where that be the case. And I think the only way they're ever going to come in and show themselves is when people down here say, listen, this is the situation. That's why I said to you long ago in another video, truth would be to seem to me, it is truth that is required here to bring them in, and so that their presence is explained. So that's what I wanted to explain. I would see that we could possibly be told here that, like I said, the landmass, the ocean as big as they are nowhere as big as the block of rock that's underneath it. And if they can rotate something around the core, or have our axis got to be tilt back here, that's what I'm saying, we've got 20 or 12 months would appear to me that the Serapeum is indicating that. I wanted to discuss a date again. I said that this, to me, Scorpio is November. I said the 6th of November was relative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I thought the 6th of November something was going to happen. And I thought the 16th of November something was going to happen, because my birthday is actually 10 days after the 6th of November. And it wasn't that either, because we've gone past my birthday. I said to you that these rings are 32, both sides. If I add 32 to the 6th of November, I get to the 7th of December, which is in the 13th month, and that may be our date. I will go back to one other thing now. Now I've brought back the walls, the Saxahuman walls in Peru, the top view. And we've already discussed that we can count 9/11 in these walls, and if we go directly up on the line of longitude, we are in New York. I don't want to go there at this point, because it's not solving the problem we've got. That's caused a big enough problem for decades, 100 years of wars on the very lines of longitude, the dropping of bombs. What we've got to do here is realise you do not tilt the axis by dropping bombs. What you have to do is slow the rotation of the globe, or tilt the axis. I'll show you this inserted image. This was a story about Earth slowing and the moon moving further away. I would tend to think that we're being told here that they can tilt the axis of the globe by moving the moon further away. We've already discussed with this inserted image also the likelihood that the movement of the moon has to take effect. And I want to show you something else that I've put in one of my uploaded videos. And we will go through the process of seeing what it's like, okay? And because I've shown you images on it, but there are other images within it that I want you to be aware of. We are currently going through some really, really bad bushfire seasons. I live in Australia here on the mid-north coast. I live near the Manning River. We've just come out of winter and the river is not even flowing. That is unheard of. People say that it's the government involved with the lighting of the fires. I'm not 100% sure that that's the case. I'm absolutely certain though what we're being told here is without a situation with the moon getting in between us and the magnetic plane of the sun, the very strong horizontal one, that we are going to get burnt very badly by UV, concentrated UV. This is why I believe the Voynich manuscript has plants in it that are unheard of. We don't know what they are because we have not got the seeds for them. The cycle we need to go into now is 8 hours less a day. Plants that grow on our planet may be very different than the ones we have. The people that are coming here to help us are coming here to help good humans. They do not want any more misguidance from our leaders or untruths taught any longer. The day is here and it is now. It is within very, very short period of time, because I would expect, where I said it was the 6th of November, based on that if we had 32 days we get to the 7th of December. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these walls at that angle. That is all there are. There are no other walls built on that complex at the angle those 7 are. So we've got 7. If we look at all of the walls beyond here, once again we get to 11 if you added those two, but they're not quite the same angle as all these, they are 2 off. How many walls have we got that do not have a number, 2 numbers on them? We counted these black numbers, and I wasn't the one to do this and create 9/11, somebody else did that counting. It's on the same line as 9/11. One other thing I will mention about 9/11 is we know that the buildings evaporated. That is what they said. It was gone. There was nothing left there. How many walls have we not got a count on? 1, 2, 3. There are only 3 that we've got that do not have a count on them that's got more than one count. That one, and that one. That's 3 walls. And if you add 3 to 9, you get 12. So we could be looking at the 7th of the 12th. I'll show you one other thing that I wanted to tell you that I saw, that I so believe reflects the same date. I will bring this up like this so you can see who it was that put this video up. It's a video by brianhorton.com, and it's about a device that was found in a coal mine in Russia. I wanted to bring this up because it is 3.9 feet wide, or 1.2 meters, and I believe this is an actual fact telling us exactly the date. It's going to be written on this. It looks like a flying saucer. It is 1.2 meters wide, which is 12, or 3.9 feet, which is 12. And on the other side of it, we have this. And what we've got is 6 rings around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like 7 valleys or 6 ridges. That is the other side. I believe that's exactly what that's saying, that the 6th of the 12th is the date. So the 6th of the 12th of this year, this next month, is the day that's going to occur. I would expect that that be the case there, because that's a couple of things now that we've got with that date that are obviously, if I showed you that I would recommend going and looking at that. Now this is Matric Wisdom has uploaded this video, which is called They Found Something Underwater. This is like nothing ever seen before. It does actually reflect something found underwater that was off the Gulf, in the Gulf of, or off the Gulf in America. I just wanted to show you this portion of it was because this is where they found this device that I've just showed you those inserts of. And initially, like I said, they thought it was there. This is the measurements, that's what it looks like. We've also looked at the Tirumali Jain complex in India being a representative of a UFO as well. And that's what it looks like. They also suggest that they should put it under microscopic examination to see whether or not that's the case. What you're seeing here is the way, what they're suggesting it could be, whether it was a drone or whatever. I believe it was just the shape it is, the way it is, designed with the measurements it has, with the markings it has on it, to tell us exactly the date. I hope they come in here, I really do, because if they don't come and do this, and they're leaving our leaders to make the right decision, well, they haven't made the right decision for 100 years. So I'm not expecting them to get out here and do the right thing here and let us know what about these people and why they're here, and that the whole cycles of the planet, they know about it. So that is where to go and look if you want to go and look at it. Like I said, that this is the situation of what they're suggesting, that it could be built, that they need a microscopic examination, just like the rocks. I've been in communication with a lot of people that I'm online with, trying to let them know about what I've discovered, only to find, like I said, I'm just finding out that my discoveries are not discoveries, they're just hidden truth. So there are things underwater like this, but I wanted to show you how that was found. It was found at the bottom of a coal mine, and it was, I would suspect, exactly reflective of the date. Before I moved on, I wanted to discuss just one thing, and that was where we had 4 in Roman numerals on this rock, and I did put this up in a video called The Programmable Rock. As crazy as it sounds, I suggest you go and have a look at it, because you will not believe what happened whilst I had this rock under the microscope. I wanted to bring this over to your attention, that what in actual fact happened was the 4 has disappeared and we got a 17 here. And the actual fact that reason was that from the 1st of the 7th of this year was 111 years and 1 day since the Tunguska event, which actually marked this rather large comet that's come from east to west, and I mean huge, to slow the globe down, because it was at a situation where it's come off one of the high-speed outer rings of rotation, and it's been used to slow the globe. The 17 here then was relative again, because it was saying to me, in my opinion, that we had 17 months, which we did have at the time that we were working this out. From the 1st of July we had 17 months away was the crossing of the plane of the sun, the end of December 2020. Now, I've just kicked off one of my videos here that I put up, which is 4 Rocks Part 3, and I wanted to show you this because we see many things in this video, and it is really quite amazing, the technology, like I said, that we see on these rocks. And I've said to you that we see, well, on this side here, we do see trees represented here. But what we're seeing before we actually get to the tree part is we see lines of traffic on a road down here, and we see the it's actually bushfire. This is all a fire here, the whole lot of it, and you will see a line of dots come out along this road here. It looks like there's a road here with dots on it. Some of the visions that you get from moving here are amazing. This is where you get this bloke's head in front of some screens here. The logic involved in building such a thing, this is where I'm saying it looks like a bushfire. See, the bush is all on fire here. I wanted to show you that because I believe that we are seeing multiple messages on the rocks just as we are in the megaliths. Without doubt, that is what we are seeing here. This is, look, you can see that when I get that in a given spot, it really does look like a bushfire, and you can occasionally get, like I said, you just right along this line here, it becomes in a loop road. It's like all the traffic's trying to get away from the fire that's up here. I just wanted to show you that it's about in that area there. If I just pause that at that point. Some of the imagery that we get off this one. The other one I wanted to show you is this image here, where I'm moving the light around here, but what you're seeing is a mountain ridge across the top here, and I get the light right here where this is a tidal wave coming in here at the landmass. That's what you're seeing there. You're seeing the big tidal wave roll past here at these mountains in the background. I wanted to show you that because they quite often, you'll flash past images and you will not see them. Look, I think we've covered enough today to tell you what it was that I wanted to show you. I believe what we're being told is they have an ability to do two things, and that is the following: move the moon away to cycle between the sun and Earth. So in other words, the moon moves to cycle the sun, not Earth. It then gives us a partial eclipse in the morning when we wake, but because the moon is further away, there's not a partial eclipse we're used to, that we get in the middle of the day a full eclipse, but because once again the moon is further away, and that these things in conjunction with Atlantis make us go around the sun on plane with the sun without getting daily tsunamis like this, where when I get this in the right place and you see this tidal wave coming at these mountains. These are huge tidal waves. They're not ones that are going to wash up like Japan. They're going to wash probably across the entire part that we've just had burnt on the east coast. I'll be honest with you, there's a place where I live called the Three Brothers, and that's just up the coast here, and there are three mountains there. They look like the Three Brothers. And I found, like I said, I found some of these rocks, they're all been found on the east coast of Australia. It's ironic, I guess, that I'm looking at that because there are in this area Three Brothers, the mountains that are further up the coast here. What you're seeing here is the first sunrise I've seen, well, the better part of I would expect at least a week, 2 weeks now. I have not seen the sun. It's not because it hasn't been there. It's because we have unfortunately had that many bushfires in the area that the sky has not been visible. There was a break in the clouds at one point, and I still saw above there clouds, streaks of the chemtrails that has been occurring in our society. I would expect that if not them, it is you lot who run our world, making sure the bushland burns quicker with the aluminium particulates spread through it. The very, very narrow horizontal band of magnetism and its concentrated UV, I would expect is going to burn the surface of our planet like we have in actual fact seen. It may not be us doing it, it could be them starting it. I certainly not saying that it's all natural. Certainly there have been years of this chemtrailing. I think that is an actual fact. Some of the reason why it's happened is to make the bushland burn quicker. The days of deceit are drawing to an end. I would expect something to be taking place in December. Just exactly how aggressive it is, whether we get the protection we need. Maybe it is just purely and simply my requirements of communicating with the Prime Minister of Australia, and that his inaction is justifiable then, or their actions are there justifiable because of his inaction. This is also a possibility. One other matter before I leave today is to say that some time back I had a brother say to me, "Brian, they will kill you as soon as look at you." That brother who said such a thing would know who they are, because he is one of they, as I've mentioned. Listen, I've done what I had to do. I've always had a responsibility that when I found out what I found out about the family court and such things and its true purpose, it was always going to be whatever was necessary to ensure the children of the world I live in grow up without a perception of a thing called a family court that is there supposedly with its purpose is to always make the judgments in the best interest of the child. That is probably closest to the biggest joke I've heard in my entire life. It is there to put the money into the pockets of the wealthy and the children into the hands of those that would devour their innocence. I have said that before as well. That will be all I finish with today. Have a nice day, but I can assure you, Mr. Morrison, move your backsides. All of you, move your backsides. And you, Mr. Morrison, open your bloody mouth. Tell the truth. Otherwise you're not going to be here to see the rest of it, is what I would expect. Thank you very much. This is Brian Whitten and ET Art. Have a nice day. Bye bye.